Oh, baby, Denver Nuggets basketball is back,
Can
baby.
you feel it?
Turn it up, everybody. Turn
Where's
it
that
up.
fucking music?
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the pregame show. Presented by Miller Lite. Grab yourself as many as you can get a hold of because the Denver Nuggets are back tonight. Second night of a back-to-back after their worst loss
played last
of the Jokic era. And we are back here. We're going to be talking potential Hawks trades. We're going to talk Jokic's comments. We're going to preview the game. We're going to get it all for you. We're presented by Bet365. Download. No, we're not. Dang it, we're in the Toyota Lounge, driven by your front range Toyota stores. Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. Brendan Votes over here.
How's it going? I always regret getting ice in my water because
It's hard to drink.
Well, our podcast listeners have never been more upset than the Kirk Henderson guest episode. So I always think about ice in the mic all the time. I never forgot about that. Yeah.
Never got over it. Over here, Superstar Dev.
Man, I'm so pissed off I wasn't there with you guys last night.
Man, did you miss that?
I really wanted to be there.
I felt bad, honestly. The whole show, I was like, Dev would love to be here right now.
But you know what? I'm here now.
You are here. Can you at least help us make some money tonight? I don't know how the game's going to go.
That's the least I can do.
The least you can do is help us get rich off of our own misery. It's really all we can ask for in life. Nuggets are in Atlanta, second night of a back-to-back after dropping a horrendous game. What are the game notes, Vote? Give me something good. We have good news,
Oh,
right?
you want good news? Yeah, they're
Yes.
taking on the Atlanta Hawks, who are riding a 6-game win streak, actually. So
Damn
much for
it.
good news. They're fifth in the East right now after an impressive 6-game win streak. They last played Friday night, overtime win over the Lakers.
Look at this. That's why it says it's a pre-losers lounge.
I don't know.
That's a pre-losers lounge.
And then
Get that energy out of here.
So they just beat the Lakers on Wednesday. Before that, they beat the Bucks. 12-point win over the Pelicans before that, and the Hornets. But then 2 wins over the Cavaliers are part of this 6-game win streak. Atlanta,
2 of them.
by all accounts, guys, is playing very well right now. Let's take a look at some of what makes them really good. Well, we always start with the math problem in Denver. You know, they have Trae Young, a guy who shoots a lot, right? But surprisingly, the Hawks are actually 20th in 3-point attempts per game.
I feel a dub.
And 21st in 3-point percentage per game. So it's not necessarily raining it from 3 that makes them good. They do share the ball a lot, fellas. Second in assists per game right now in the NBA, trailing. Your Denver Nuggets are actually first with 30.3 assists per game. Let's get to the game notes, though, because it was, the injury report notes. It was a crowded one for Atlanta. DeAndre Hunter is available. Right knee injury management. He is going to play tonight. Trae Young, the headline, right Achilles tendonitis, but he is available. So Trae Young will play for Atlanta.
Okay.
Some key names are out, though. Bogdan Bogdanovic is out with a left quad contusion. Jalen Johnson is out with right shoulder soreness.
Bogdanovic misses a lot of games, man.
And then bad news for the Jokic stat line. Cody Zeller is also out. He's actually not with the team right now. Let's take it to the side you care more about. That's Denver. Another crowded injury report just a few hours ago. We've got some updates. Jamal Murray is still out, right hamstring inflammation. Dario Saric remains out with a left ankle sprain. Vlatko Čančar, of course, had that arthroscopic surgery on the left knee. Deron Holmes II, right Achilles tendon, still ground-bound for now. Aaron Gordon will play tonight. The right calf sprain is what it's listed as. We've seen it listed a few different ways. It has been the calf that's troubled him really all the way back to Abu Dhabi. He gave an interesting quote about playing through it when maybe he shouldn't have. Well, he's back tonight, so Aaron Gordon is available.
Do you almost wonder if they held out Aaron Gordon last game? Because it's like, all right, we can maybe steal one in Washington. They haven't won in 16 games. Back-to-back, we're not going to play them both, but he'll come back in Atlanta. It almost feels like that was the case.
I mean, that makes sense. I would look at that if I'm an organization, especially when he makes a quote about playing through it when he shouldn't have. So it's like, let's be smart about it and arrest them at the spots that they're gonna for sure win. They'll for sure beat the Wizards.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that makes sense.
And just to finish it out, Christian Brown popped up with a right quad contusion. Julian Strawther did as well with a right wrist sprain and ankle strain. But both of those guys will play tonight. So quick recap, Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Julian Strawther are in, Jamal Murray out in Atlanta.
All right, man. We're joking because of how bad we feel after last game. And look, we're not making stuff up. That was bad. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It was as bad and as dark as things get. But tonight is a new night. What do they got to do to get a win tonight, Dev?
They need someone else to play well. They just need anybody. I feel like they have another max contract player right now that's playing. I feel like he should step up in that place. It should
AG
not all
or
be Mike. AG as well. I mean, at least he has an injury attached to the excuse, but he needs to play better. Michael Porter Jr. needs to play well. They need to get some continuity. It should not all be on, Nikola Jokic to be able to do it all. So I feel like just trying to get, those other guys going early and often, leads to a good game.
What do you think?
Mostly just defense, I think.
Yeah. Point of attack, Trae Young.
Point of attack, Trae Young. Point of attack's been honestly a weakness. I mean, you could argue it's actually Russell Westbrook who's the best point of attack defender, but he gambles
But he attacks. I do feel like part of point of attack defense, if you're just trying to shadow, where you can't touch guys or whatever, in today's NBA, it's so hard to do that. There are some guys that do it, but it's hard. What Russ does is he attacks your dribble so that they're not just looking and trying to pick a spot. They're also like protecting the ball.
So they're not just walking into stuff. And he will, gamble at times, but honestly, I think Christian and Peyton have emerged more as maybe stronger wing defenders at times. That's just my opinion. But keeping an eye on the defense, the point of attack defense, which has been a real issue for Denver. Again, offensively, first in the league in points per game, first in the league in free throws made per game. They can still...
That's wild.
They're scoring more than it feels like. But the defense has been a big issue, and until they right that ship, they're going to have to be near perfect offensively to win these games.
So I think they need to start playing together, more. That's part of it. Is I just feel like there's not a culture right now at the Nuggets of teamness. George Karl used to always call it teamness. I don't think there's a lot of teamness to him. And a lot of that is from, are you willing to do the dirty work to cover for other guys on your team? Rotations, box outs, rebounds, that kind of stuff. And to your point, could the ball pop a little bit more? A lot of the young guys on this roster, I know you always think, I need some shots, I need some touches, that's how I feel involved. Right now, it's like, you don't need that. The offense number one, is that what you just told me?
No, they're number one in assists per game and free throws made per game.
And they're still up there. Like, their offense has still been good. The defense needs to be there, and there's just some guys that I think have to get there. But, Yoke's game last night was so weird. The more I chewed on it, the more I thought it was just so weird. 38 shots, he goes for 56. He was efficient in it. No one can criticize him. But I almost wonder, with him, there's a level of, I don't want to reward these guys with passes, to take advantage of all this. One, they're not making shots, but two, this team's not playing connected. And I'm not saying he's playing selfish, but it almost feels like there's a little message sending. And it made me wonder, Dev, 38 shots last game. Would you be more surprised tonight if Jokic took 10 or fewer shots or 25 or more shots? Do you think it's a repeat of last game where it's like, well, just got to go to work?
I would be more shocked if he took 10 or less. I mean, I just feel like right now he's in a FU mode. Not even, I think it's to his teammates as well. Y'all need to play better. Y'all need to do better. I'm going to be able to score every single time, so I'm going to take over of that. And I think that's where you could see how much the ball is not popping, or, it feels like it's a protest out there where I'm not playing the same way right now. I feel like I can do it by myself. I'm going to score because you guys are not stepping up, and I need someone else to step up. I feel like in the past, it used to be Jokic trying to set the table, trying to play guys back into the right place, making sure that he's out there coaching and telling them hey, you need to come through right here. But he's hey, you guys are older. This is a team that you guys should know what it is by now. So I think that he goes right back into the scoring, I'm going to take over mode.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think so too. And I think it's not all just message sending. It's keeping their heads above water. They are 11-10. They are in 9th place, threatening to fall out of play-in standing. It's early, but not that early. I almost thought part of his approach last night was, hey, we can't effing lose to the effing Wizards. It's not even about message sending. It's you can't do it, you can't do it, you can't do it, I will do it. And as things stand, he still needs to be in that mode if you're worried about wins. And I think a team in 9th place needs to be worried about wins.
I think so too. Well, Jokic had some interesting comments after the game. We talked briefly about them because they had just happened during the Losers Lounge last game, so we didn't get to fully get into them. But we're going to get into them now in the pregame because I think they're very, very interesting. Kale, play the first clip for us, will you?
The reaction. In my country where I'm coming from, after this kind of stretch, you're gonna get a paycheck that is a little bit less than usual. So maybe that's what we need to do. Maybe a little motivation in that way. And one thing was the name of the great quote, like being benched. Being on the bench. I think that's a really good motivation too.
And there's one more follow-up to that. So he says maybe not paying the salaries like they do in Europe sometimes in Serbia, and then also maybe a benching. And then he follows up with this.
I think when I was coming off the bench, when I was like playing small minutes, my goal was when I sit on the bench, I'm gonna be so tired that I cannot breathe. So just give 100% and in those 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever minutes you have. I'm not saying that's how supposed, but that's my, just go out there and try to give everything what you got.
All right, so here's the comment, Dev. First, he says, Jokic does not criticize the team very often, does not make public comments like this. I feel like it's actually kind of a big deal that he says, one, maybe some guys shouldn't get their paycheck. Obviously, tongue-in-cheek. That's not how the NBA operates, even if other leagues do. But it shows that it's like, you would hear of a team in Europe not paying their players, and you would think that's absurd. And he's like, drastic times call for drastic measures. But then he says, maybe the bench, and hey, where'd my career start? I was on the bench. I didn't mind. I came off the bench and contributed. Maybe that's the motivation some people need.
I love it. Really, I do love it. I also think it is alarming because Jokic has never been that player or that person. This is like the first time that there's like negative criticism, or at least that I could remember, where he's calling people out. And while it was not specific, it had to be, they only have 8 guys. There's really 7 other guys that he could be talking about. So for you to say, like, go back to the, to the bench or like try to motivate in different ways, I feel like this is a call to like the front office or coaching or whatever the case may be, is there needs to be some type of change because it's not working. I love that he used back the reference of, back home to show that there is a drastic difference. But there's also like in his head, he's a little bit shocked that there's things going on out there. So I really do think that this was a wild message from your best player.
Yeah, 20 minutes before we got that quote on the show, we were saying, is it maybe time for Yoke to call these guys out? I loved it. These things don't happen. I don't love the situation that calls for it. These things don't happen because everything is going well, but it's the only thing left he can do. On the floor, he has done everything to lead by example, to galvanize them, to lead them to wins. And the only thing left he can say is just put a little more pressure on them. This isn't good enough. And we know that Jokic has really rounded out his professionalism as he's grown, right? He also leads by example. We know he hates the pressers, but he's always there. He takes them seriously enough for we know how he handles practice and his workouts. The only thing left is to say, hey, I'm the guy that does almost everything right, if not everything right. And you guys need to know this isn't good enough.
Yeah, do you think that it was because like even going to that like omission of what he said, he didn't say like don't pay him. He said there should be a pay cut. Yeah, like he's calling out people that are making more money than what he believes.
Could be.
Like so like that. I think that means a little bit more with that comment.
Again, you can't do that in the NBA game.
For
like,
sure.
Hey, we gave a max to this guy, but I'm not so sure he's worth it anymore. So take some of that back. But you might be right though about that very part of it. I think here's what's interesting about Yoke. We all love ranking players, historically and everything else. And there are some players that are harder to rank than others. Yoke being one of those because he's this all-time floor raiser. But what Yoke's really good at is when you have a team playing together and he's the center of it, might be the single best player to ever touch the floor. That's why when we're all like, he might be the best ever. You see that finals run, the team was connected. But when the team is disconnected, Yoke looks, 56 points, 18 rebounds, whatever it was, that number, and they still lose to the Wizards. And it's like, well, how does that happen? A team has to be connected. And I call that basketball. This is why I get so annoyed is it's like, that's a system you have to run. Yeah, the system's called basketball. Everybody touches it. Everybody shoots. Everybody cuts. It's not a system. It's just basketball. But the Nuggets aren't playing that right now. And I think there's a lot of guys, Michael Porter's one you could point to, who's always had a tough time figuring that piece of it out. But in the title run, I think he did. And honestly, for a lot of the last 2 years, I think he has. Christian Brown, Peyton Watson, Julian Straw, they're young guys. And one thing I know is a dynamic of young players is I got a contract. I got to prove myself. I got to go out there and show everything that I can do. And does that always align with a team? No. And I think Yoke looks at that and he's speaking, I think, to all of those guys, all the young players and to Michael Porter, who are the guys that played last night, and just said, if you think this is about what you can do, then get on the bench. Take it out of the rotation. If you think this is about what we can do, then we're going to be good and we're going to win. But right now, I just think this team, for a variety of reasons, is so disconnected that it's just a bunch of individuals, and Yoke can score 56 in a loss to the Wizard with a bunch of individuals.
Yeah, but do you think that's why he has those games of like the 10 shots?
He hasn't had one of those for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. But I think that there was something too, like, I'm going to make sure we get right or get into a spot. And you look at the schedule, they're like pretty like late in the season of like trying to get people to like understand what is the right style of basketball.
Right.
This is not really a new group. This is not as many young players as this like perceived to be. Like they're not playing rookies. You know what I mean? So like they have people that have been in this system that play that way. They're not playing that way right now. So like maybe he's looking at, hey, I just have to be more. I have to do more. But call them out in different ways and get them back to playing that right way. I do think that you'll bounce back when you see your best player finally say something like that publicly.
I hope so. I hope tonight is an inspiration night. You know, that the guys play inspired, and no Jamal there. You know, it's another opportunity for you to go out there and try to, you know, fly around, get the ball popping. Everybody does their job defensively and see what happens. So it is another opportunity. But that's to me is my read on Yoke and how he's feeling. You know, they are playing the Atlanta Hawks, and I know a lot of fans this time of year, or just whenever your team is struggling, you go right to the trade machine. I'm going to start by saying I don't think it's necessarily a talent deficiency, although I do think that Denver's deficient in some shooting and depth. So there is some of that. That's why I don't love to just trade. Just go to trade. Let's just move it around. That's the Daryl Morey vision of basketball. That's the LeBron James vision of basketball. Just, we had a group that works. Yeah, but I just like moving pieces around because I get annoyed at guys. That being said, if the Nuggets make a trade this year, Oklahoma City, who owns 2 protected picks of Denver, I don't think Denver's going to trade in division, so let's throw them out. Detroit Pistons have a lot of cap space, and I just think they're a main trade partner for everybody. And I think the Atlanta Hawks are another team I look at and I go, that's an area where I could see if Denver were to make a big trade, a Michael Porter trade, for example, that's a spot I could see him going to. Bogdanovich, Larry Nance Jr., Hunter, there's players there that I think would fit Denver. And I think that's one area that is actually probably interested in Mike is Atlanta.
Yeah, they might be interested in Mike. Mike very well would be interested in them and playing with Trey again, in theory, right?
On
paper.
I think he probably would.
I'm just saying, not something I've talked to him about, but that's a safe assumption. That one makes a lot of sense. You got guys that have, fit some of Denver's needs, and most importantly, a guy Jokic has played with on the national team, a guy Jokic can connect with in ways that matter, both on and off the court. So that is an obvious one. And I think for years, there's a question of what are the Atlanta Hawks doing? They can certainly be much better than terrible, and as they have been this season. But I don't know, like great 6-game win streak. Call me wrong if I am. Is anyone picking the Atlanta Hawks to win the title this year? I'm just going to say no,
yeah.
Right? So where are the Hawks at? Are they down to make a trade? And I think this is one of the more realistic kind of places you can look.
Yeah, I mean, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's always been something there with Bogdanovich and Jokic. Like, it's always been there. I do think you have to look with the Hawks, like, what is their decision or what is their view of Trae Young? Because, like, he's also coming up on a contract. If they do keep him long-term, you want to put him with a running mate or someone he wants to play with, and it makes him happy. That's Michael Porter Jr. It's, like, been known. They had a picture of Jokic and Bogdanovich before this game. he looks extremely happy. We have not seen that. We only see that smile like 2-3 times a year, and it's usually Luka or Bogdanovic, Vlatko at times, but like his countrymen. So like that could be something that you're like, hey, Jokic is unhappy. How do we make him happy? You bring him that type of smile, somebody that can play like with and for. And he hasn't been happy like that in a very long time. Even if you think about the last time he was vocal about how happy he was with another player, it was like JaMychal Green. You know what I mean? Like, and maybe he learned from that and said, you know what, I made a mistake there. But still, like, really, I think that would make sense. Of just getting people what they want, and then also you try to attach something else that makes sense there. Like you talked about the DeAndre Hunter or something else where it's not
just makes the deal work because it's such big money for Michael Porter.
And you need that depth as well.
By the way, DeAndre Hunter, 3 years, 21 to 23, 24 million for 3 years. That's a bad contract that Nuggets fans, if you pick that one up, it'd be like, all right, we got another guy making way more than he deserves.
This is just a trade you could make.
Yeah.
I consider me skeptical that it fixes all the problems we're talking about here, particularly with Bogdanovic's in and out, right? Availability stuff. He's a guy who gets hurt a lot too. And by the way, not a stalwart defender, although I think a considerably smarter player than Porter.
Probably better team defender, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm not saying like not known as a wing that's going to change life for you defensively. So they would still have plenty of questions. You know, it's just if you can make a trade this year, it's not even about Porter being scapegoated. It's about what audibles are left. What can you do?
I think it's just Strother and Michael Porter. I think that's like the tradable pieces. And then Zeke Naji can be thrown in to make some things happen or whatever. But when you're talking about players another team would want, Mike and Strother seem like the tradable ones. I think you're right. But you said something interesting here about Jokic looking happy with Bogdanovic. I believe the Nuggets are officially entering we need Jokic happy territory. They've taken for granted the fact that Jokic is the most loyal and easy to get along with superstar in the history of the game, but certainly in this modern era where you almost take advantage of, we're not worried about him leaving. And I don't want to like people panicking just yet. I don't think that's like we're there. But I do think when you look at a team this upset and a guy scoring 56, I do think you have to ask and be like, we need this guy to be happy with that we're giving our best effort as an organization, but also just that the players that we're putting him around are players that he enjoys being there for every single night. Bogdanovic, absolutely one of those guys.
I feel like that should have been the pitch for just to keep him in Denver and happy for as long as you can. You have, one of the best players that's ever touched a basketball on your team. Why not just make sure he keeps you happy? He keeps you guys relevant. He keeps you guys afloat. Brought you your first championship ever. Like, I feel like that should have been the pitch this entire time. And I know that it could be in the nature and the character of Jokic of just staying out of that type of stuff. But as we've been seeing lately, things are a little bit different for him right now. Yeah. This is the first time that they're in that territory of worry, caution, just trying to be proactive. So I think that should be a push.
By the way, so I saw some people say Christian and Peyton can be traded too. Agreed. I just think Denver needs those two players. Like if you lost Peyton or Christian, you would need to replace Peyton or Christian. So it's a little more lateral. With Mike, you obviously would miss his shooting. And I think more than his shooting, you might actually even miss his in-between game. Like he's really good at finishing shots around the rim and around the basket in a way that's pretty important, especially when you get to playoffs. So they would certainly miss some of what he brought, but your hope is that you could retain 80% of his offense while shoring up some of the teamness, ball handling, defense maybe, those types of things. So you're right. They could also trade Jokic. He's another tradable player that every team would want, but I didn't mention him either. Yeah. I just keep your eye out. And part of me wonders what if Mike tonight, they don't run a lot of plays for him? What if they run a lot of plays? Mike goes for 35 tonight, and they're like, man, Atlanta, you see how good this guy is? 40 points? My goodness. Have you guys see this?
I feel like Atlanta's doing that right now anyway. You see what Trae Young just did against the Lakers? I feel like it's always a tryout.
Trae Young's been playing, I actually think, smart basketball lately. He has a team around him that can actually play, and he's passing more. So he'll be a challenge. All right, that's enough previewing the game today. Let's now put our money where our mouth is. Our pregame picks are presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use the code DNVR365. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5. You get 200 in bonus bets and a code to get first 2 months of Altitude Plus, courtesy of Bet365. Must be 21 or older, located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. Dev, make us some money, man.
I like this game. I do. There's a lot here. The Nuggets come into this game as 1-point underdogs. This
Really?
one is like bounced around all day, but with all of the guys out, so like they had to wait to see if Jamal will be playing, if Aaron Gordon will be playing, Jalen Johnson just got pushed out, Bogdanovich. So like I feel like this was a tough one for Vegas. They put them as +1.
Yeah. What do you think? What's your gut tell you, man?
My gut tells me to stay away. They lost to the Wizards.
I know.
There's no one that can
What's your
just
gut
feel
tell you?
confident.
Yeah, I didn't want to blow up the segment. I was going to say I am not betting on the Denver Nuggets right now.
You just
man.
don't bet on it.
Yeah.
You're excited. This is one of those situations that you're excited if they win, so it doesn't matter. Stay away from that part. I think this is an under game. They have it at 241, which is a bunch of points. I feel like beyond
I
Trae
like that
Young,
bet.
beyond Trae Young is Jalen Johnson that usually scores their baskets. Beyond Jalen Johnson is Bogdanovich.
The team defend tonight.
Those two guys are out, and also Malone has been calling out the defense and how much they need to get into that. You just let the Wizards go insane on you. You really do have to make a message. It's also the second night of a back-to-back, so I don't see Denver wanting to run. So I'm going to go under 242 in this one.
I'm with you I'm riding with you.
On the Hawks side, I'm not sure if you've seen that box score that I just talked about for Trae Young versus the Lakers.
20 assists.
He had 30 points, 20 assists. Whew. That is insane.
That's
just
crazy.
really.
That is insane.
It's a lot. I don't think he'll have that type of game, but I do think that he'll score. They have his points only at 23 or 22. He's going to score the points. But one that I really like, I'm going to go over 2.5 3-pointers for him. He shoots a ton of them.
Yeah.
And also, he's going to get the Westbrook assignment. He's going to get his points. It really is. I like both. Dyson Daniels is an incredible defender.
Really is.
I'm glad that Jamal took this one out. That would have been rough for him. I'm going to go with over 2.5 steals for him.
Does it every night.
That's a great. The Nuggets cannot stop turning it over
They
right now.
cannot stop it. And
That's a
now they
great
have
bet.
Russell Westbrook as the primary defender. You have, Michael Porter Jr., Christian Brown, trying to create. He's going to play the hell out of that. 2.5 steals. He just had 4 last game. Sign me up. For the Nuggets, we always start with the 3-pointer. And it sucks because there's only one guy taking and making the 3-pointers right now. It's Jokic. I'm going to take over 1.5
Really?
3-pointers. Where else am I going to go with that?
Michael Porter 2.5. This is a showcase game, man.
Yeah, let's do that.
No,
Michael
you're not
Porter,
doing it.
Let's
All
do
right,
Michael
I'll
Porter
take Yoke.
Jr.
I listen to you. I just am playing devil's advocate. I'll put it down.
All right, Michael Porter Jr. has to be better, and it sucks how it looks when his shot's not falling. Because I think he's even given up on it, which I just thought he would never. He's just not confident in that, but he is confident in the other ways. He's making a mid-range shot. He's finishing around the rim. He grabs boards and goes right back up. And last game, while it was not discussed a ton, he was a big part of the blame of why he did not play well.
No.
So this is a bounce back spot for him. 17.5 points. It's a low line. I'm going to go over
I like that.
for that.
I'm with it.
For Christian Brown, I don't know if you guys have noticed, but he has not been rebounding the ball lately.
What the
He's been
heck?
playing super well lately.
He has not been playing well, but he really doesn't rebound. They keep putting his rebounds at 5. I'm going to take the under there.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to take the under. It's just not enough. He has been playing well on at scoring and getting out on the break. I feel like he gets 14.5 points in this one. I do feel like Katie Winch said something about he's only playing on one leg. Why is he playing in his game then? If they're going to go with that. I am shocked about that one, but if I'll take the over, it'll be points. I'm going to take the under on rebounds. No Jamal, so Westbrook is the play. He had 12 assists last game and kept everyone in it. And when Westbrook gets meaningful minutes, and especially a start, Jokic points goes up. His assists also go up because he has a guy he could pass it to that's a bucket every time. I'm going to go over 8.5 assists here. I just think that's pretty easy for him, especially in this fast-paced game against Trae Young and these type of defenders. I don't see them putting Daniels on him or anything like that. If Gordon's in this game, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he is playing.
So I like the matchup, and this is one that he's needed. They don't have Jalen Johnson no more. It's going to be on him to be aggressive. It's going to be on him to, I feel like get things going as well. I'm going to go over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. I just like that.
For who is this?
For Aaron Gordon. I like it. A bet that's sneakily been hitting all year, and we've been reminding you of it. Michael Porter Jr. over 2 assists. Last game he had 6. I don't know if y'all talked about that. 6 assists.
It was a little hard to get excited about amongst what he did
for
so
sure.
poorly.
That does make sense. But 2.5 assists is low right now for him.
I think he's a gunner tonight. I can't go with you.
I
on
do
that
think
one.
I think he's a gunner. I think he gets his 3 assists as well. For the defensive bet, let's go with Jokic over 1.5 stocks.
That's all it is.
That's all it is. I'm gonna take the over. For the lock, we're gonna go with Jokic over points plus rebounds, 46.5. Cash that thing.
You're only saying that because he's playing as well as anyone's ever played before in the history of the game.
Only reason I'm saying that. Also,
I'm worried about a Yoke passing night.
That's why I said points plus rebounds.
Yeah.
I did not say triple double.
He could get 20 rebounds, man.
He could get 50 points. He could get 50 points, and it won't even matter. Also, get the points. Why not just do the points as well?
You think he's going again?
He has no choice. He truly doesn't. And now they're going to have Capella on him. That's no. Like OO's on it. There's just no way. I'm going to go with the points. I'm going to go with points plus rebounds. He's aggressive. He's alert. He's into it, scoring with relative ease. Just give it to me, baby.
All right, we got some super chats before we go down.
All right, first one coming to us from IX. Gordon playing. Thank you. Zeke, you. I liked that one.
Zeke just catches for the one guy that wasn't involved in that disaster game.
I know.
But
That's
would have
only
been the same or worse.
It was so bad that he... Noah Linden. Murray's on a quest for spiritual enlightenment. He's renounced his worldly obligations, attending UFC fights, and watching men trying to kill each other as part of his spiritual quest.
All right.
Let's cheer up.
That's
All
true.
right.
Everybody skips Eric. A win raises every babe's spirits. Dev, smile more.
Look, first off, let me tell you something.
You know what? Doesn't matter. Everybody, thanks for watching this. We're going to go watch this basketball game.
I'm the happiest I've ever been.
Hit that like button on the way out.
We all silly like the mayor.